Life safety, a couple of items here. We have our hearing on January 22nd. Our formal notice was sent out to surrounding residents on December 29th. Mary Ann and I came in and sent out those letters to all the surrounding properties, and we went about 2 blocks past just to notify them of our hearing on January 22nd in front of the zoning board at the Village of Brookfield. We also have submitted our packet and our formal plans. There was a landmark article about that. It includes the special use permit, the variance for the tennis courts and the setbacks related to that, and also those are the 2 main items.
Fence.
The fence line, yes. Also that the board has in front of them, and Mary Ann, if you could put up in public for the projector. Board members have a copy of these in front of them. These are the 3D renderings. First thing I want to draw to everyone's attention is it does say draft. These are the renderings for the stadium and the stadium buildings, which we're replacing like with like within the scope of that. The locker rooms underneath, size, structure, that stuff. But I want to make sure it's understood as a draft because it does show renderings of the tennis courts and proposed parking lot. It also provides an X-ray on the second slide, which will show. It gives you a full back view of what would be perceived on this slide. That's on the projector now on the second page for the board. This will give you an idea of what's visible from Hollywood Avenue, the back of the stadium and locker room. The little picture underneath that is kind of like a 3D picture to show you what the locker room will look like underneath the bleachers. And then this is somewhat of a view from the north to the front of the, shows you the front of the bleachers, the track, the new concession stand. Rendering number 3 is just a proposal of, give you an idea off to the proposed parking lot as a new gate structure. That would be where people would walk into the new stadium and track. One of the entrances, and then the 4th rendering is a perspective from Rockefeller Avenue and Hollywood Avenue intersection. And it just shows there's the 6-foot fence that we're proposing for shield, as well as the dense shrubs in front of it. The relocation of the tennis courts to the center of our property with the windscreens and fencing, and then the additional fencing and shrubbery around the grass area where the long jump and high jump pits are.
Doesn't appear to show the lights that are going to light the tennis courts.
If you look in the bottom picture,
Right.
you can see there are lights on the tennis courts. There are
That's all.
poles. They're facing north-south, not towards the residents.
That's it? That's the extent of the lights?
It's from what I understand, it's to give an idea, so.
Okay.
Also, there's one other letter in front, and the board has in front of them is the naming rights. It says draft. It should have came with the renderings
there we
right
go.
there. And so that is the copy of the thing I would like to, with the board's approval tonight, get posted in the Tribune, Sun-Times, our webpage, to see if we have anybody interested for naming rights, or at least to begin some
I thought we
discussions.
approved that a couple months ago.
Yeah, I think the board wanted me to look into whether or not we're gonna put a minimum value.
Okay.
And so what we've discussed with kind of Carrie and with the construction manager is that's better probably to take place maybe at a personal meeting or a one-to-one meeting to see, but to at least gain some interest, we try to get this out there.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Mike, Gary, okay with that?
So just in case these renderings go out to the public, which they will, on the rendering that says perspective from Rockefeller Avenue and Hollywood Avenue intersection,
Okay,
this one, top,
right,
you'll see those yellow gates there. Those in no way are allowing traffic to exit onto Rockefeller or Hollywood into the Hollywood section of Brookfield. Those would be gates for the zoo to have access to the back of the parking lot where the zoo goes in, or is that just a that's the entrance to the parking lot, and we can lock it
That's
off
the
at some
entrance to the
point.
parking lot that we can close off being our property in the event that, because Rockefeller right now is a public street. So it gives us the ability to secure our parking lot or close our parking lot.
Okay. And
We've already discussed with the Village of Brookfield, and I put in the letter that went out to all the surrounding residents that there will be, the cul-de-sac is to remain in place, and that there will be no traffic from the new lot onto Hollywood Avenue.
and we'll do something to, it looks like you can come right off that driveway onto Hollywood Avenue. That's not going to be,
Yeah, I don't think that just shows the true depth of the curb.
I just want to put that out there.
Right, there will
And-
be no entrance, all that will still remain off limits to, you
Could it-
cannot get to the park, the only way you can get to the parking lot would be through Rockefeller, current Rockefeller Avenue.
Up Gulf and through Rockefeller.
Correct.
And then all the notifications that we put were all based on what the Village of Brookfield told us we needed to do for their purposes. So we didn't choose who and what. Basically, the Village of Brookfield directed us,
The
Correct.
zoning rules really directed us, they just told us to
and
follow.
it's their zoning rules, and so the Village of Brookfield directed us as to where to send the letters and where to,
Correct, and we met with the village manager and the president, and wanted to make sure we were being fully compliant, so we sent letters to additional residents to just make them aware of the improvements.
and they
that
said
we're
it was only so many feet, but then they
We went
told us
above
to
and
go
beyond.
several blocks more.
Correct, it's 250 feet circumference, I believe, from the property that's going to be, where that impacts, that is applying for the variance. We went well past that.
That would be a dozen or two houses, and we went and did
Correct, we did
close to 100 and some.
Hollywood, both sides of McCormick, and one side of Arden, all of Rockefeller up to Arden. And then we did the houses that on Washington that were within the 250 circumference.
So we did dozens upon dozens of houses.
Correct.
And we didn't have to notify the ones on Ridgewood either,
No,
No.
because they're not.
Right.
So what is, you're showing us these renderings, what's the next step with these?
Well, tonight, we're proposing to approve the demolition bid. I would put these renderings will go on our website, just I've been trying to keep a, more or less a journal or step-by-step as we
Right,
approve
and so
stuff.
I'm just trying to understand, is there gonna be a discussion on these, or is this in stone, or I'm trying to
This
understand?
is pretty
what the
much to
next-
show you everything that the board had approved at the October meeting of putting the locker room underneath.
Right,
Doing like with like, so these are pretty much,
in stone, so these
these would be,
there's
we're
no
getting close to
discussion.
construction drawings.
Okay,
You know, unless something
What-
comes back that, in order to do this concrete, it's 75,000 compared to doing cinder blocks,
Okay.
it's, right.
so, because we got, we did get the sign off from Brookfield and their zoning,
no, that,
no.
no.
January 22nd.
January
January
20
I
22nd
just wanna go
is,
through the process,
January 20, we have a three-phase construction project.
right,
Phase one is the bidding that we're approving tonight, that we don't need approval from the Brookfield on, from the zoning board on, in regards to demolition, the home and visitor bleachers.
right,
If we approve that bid tonight, that work will start as early as next week. This phase two, which would be going out to bid at the end of this month, first week of February, would be for the track surface, the field surface, and the contracting services and skill services for the water retention under the stadium and the bleachers and those items. That's all phase two. Still no impact of the zoning board because we're replacing like with like.
okay.
The third phase is the parking and tennis courts, and that's what's being determined by the timeline from the zoning process in Brookfield.
Okay. Just want to make sure we go through that again, so people understand that.
Fence.
Yeah.
And fencing.
Right.
And
That
this,
that area is still subject to
Correct.
zoning, possibly
So
some
there's no,
tweaking.
right,
there.
there's no timeline or
But
anything.
there is a go forward on other areas that are our
Correct.
property that we're just replacing things on.
Like with like.
and this drawing would give our perspective of what it should look like.
Correct.
Because there was some question about a diagram that appeared in a local newspaper, and it
Right,
was,
and I-
that was their
That's the
rendering.
newspaper's rendering. Our architect actually called about that because it's, I don't even know what the legalities are if someone can be mimicking drawings like that on their own and putting it in a newspaper. So I told the architect
Fascinating.
that they need to contact the landmark about that. If they need a picture of our drawings, that they should be putting the drawings that our architect has copyrights to.
Okay,
Because there were some concerns about where the sidewalk was, And
Right.
I think the landmark clarified that it was just a general
Right.
their general drawing. So, we'll go forward with posting out the naming rights in local and larger newspapers. These are renderings I'll put on the webpage. And the demolition will begin within this month on the home and visiting bleachers, pending the approval of tonight's bid. I met with, Ms. Matana and I met with the principal and the two co-presidents of the Hollywood School PTA, just walked them through phase one, the demolition, and some of the steps we're taking, and the construction manager's taking in order to complete our phase one of the project in relation to also with them operating school on a daily basis. We have a company by the name of Multivista going out to Hollywood School in the next couple days just to do a walkthrough of their property and take pictures so that, somewhere down the line, there can't be, hey, the vibrations from this caused this structural crack or something like that. So we're doing, the principal and I thought that would be a good idea to go through and do that.
So explain again what you're going to do.
Multivista is a company that will come out and just more or less walk Hollywood School, document their structure, their setup, and
Okay.
so someone doesn't come back and say in 6 months, hey, you caused this crack in our wall, or
Are we requiring our demolition vendor to do vibration monitoring?
we are doing vibration monitoring. I forget the name of the company, but Joel
Doesn't
just
matter.
set up a meeting with them. We also explained that to the Hollywood, they were appreciative of that. So we're gonna have some vibration monitors on site. So that's kind of where we're at right now with the project.
Okay, I'd like to ask a few things. The first one is, are you planning to have another facilities council meeting sometime before we finalize these drawings?
We can.
And then I think we should consider having another facilities committee meeting with the public before we finalize the drawings too. We said we would have another meeting, at least one more.
Okay.
And who's representing us at the zoning hearing?
Architect, engineer, I was planning on attending.
We're not gonna have an attorney there?
Right now, I did not plan on
Okay.
having an attorney.
And do you want any of the board members to come?
I would think it's open to the board if they want to come or not.
Can you check with Todd or somebody and make sure whether more than two of us can come?
That's a good question.
It's not our meeting.
Yeah, but it's gonna be discussing business of the board. I think we could do it because it's a public meeting, but, for sure.
I don't, and I would double check that.
Yeah.
No reason not to.
Just in case some of the board members want to come.
Sure.
What time is that meeting, Kevin?
I think 7 PM, Mary Ann, is that correct?
I think it is.
The letter's on our website, I don't have it in front of me. In regards to finalizing the drawings, we've met several times, just like detailed meetings, like how many lockers, what type of depth lockers, with the facilities manager, superintendent, the athletic director.
Well, I would assume you'd want to treat your facilities council the way you do like finance and when you're making a big decision.
Right.
You want them involved in it, right?
Right, I don't think you want to get into where you want the outlets for a popcorn maker and that
No.
kind of stuff. So when you say final, like when we start talking about bleacher bids, locker bids, subcontractors, that kind of, when we start getting into the,
Well, I mean, is this actually the final design of what this infrastructure is going to look like? I mean, that seems like it's kind of important. But you jump from, this is the first time we're seeing this, and yeah, it doesn't show outlets. and I
this
don't
is the
care
same,
what
the,
outlets
the
are.
floor plan layout has not
Okay.
changed since what
Okay.
the board's seen in October. What we've gotten into the specificity of is we need 76 locker stalls.
But something like this.
Right, that's just drawings that they gave us examples of. We have not finalized whether that's gonna be the exhibit or not.
Okay. Well, I
So what we're gonna
definitely
start
think
doing-
before we finalize the drawings
That are
for
gonna
the
go out to
actual
bid.
building.
Absolutely.
We should have a public,
Okay.
plan to have our.
Well, we talked about, back in, I think,
Yeah.
that some of those meetings are now we're gonna have some of our public facilities meetings will occur at 7:30 a.m.
Right.
They'll be open to the public because the
Right.
superintendent,
Yeah.
so, okay. Those, we're on the same page then.
And I think we should wait till after the zoning hearing.
Correct.
Because then we'll have a better feeling for the timeline and everything.
In terms of the visitors' bleachers, is there gonna be storage under that? Or,
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
I think that's what the, remember with the floor plan from October, that's the storage garage on the top right corner, the side that says Riverside Brookfield High School, closest to Washington, that's a two-bay storage garage.
so that'll be.
That will that will be like replacing the storage that we were putting on the concourse that was deemed inusable.
And will be there any, considering the current garage now, right across from golf, have we done an analysis of, did any of those buildings need modification?
Carrie's,
I hate to do this twice.
I can ask Carrie that again, but we've looked at that space. That's gonna remain maintenance, storage, and for maintenance equipment. And then, with the two-bay garage, that should cover the amount of storage we were using underneath the old stadium and on the concourse and on that tractor trailer that was left behind. So between these two bays, and then there's some under the front bleacher storage on the new bleachers that should be able to accommodate all the storage for the track equipment, football equipment, soccer equipment, hurdles, all that stuff.
So, this is a specific question. In terms of public access to this track, is it basically gonna be through the gate?
I would anticipate there'll be similar public access to the track through the gates that we have installed since we're doing all new fencing. So like right now, even though we have it locked, people know they can still sneak behind the poles. We're talking with the architect about installing kind of like the turnstile gates that you see more like a Hinsdale Central, so that if someone wanted to come and run on the track during when it's open to the public, not during school hours, that they can get on there, but they can't bring their pet in there, or they can't be riding their bike on the track like you sometimes see kids doing.
And that's a great idea, yes. Any other questions on this?
Looks nice.